Hi there, Colin Smith from Photoshop Cafe, and what I'm going to show you in this video is what is the difference really between Bridge and Lightroom, because essentially on the surface they look a little bit the same, don't they? They might seem like they can do the same thing, but there's a lot of things you can do in Lightroom that you can't do in Bridge. So let's jump in and have a look. There's a question that I get asked repeatedly when I'm traveling, and there's variations of that question of this. If I have Bridge already, why do I need Lightroom? What is the difference between Lightroom and Bridge? Is there anything I can do in Lightroom that I can't already do in Bridge? These are the kind of questions that I get asked on a repeated basis. So I'm going to answer it here in this video. Essentially, what is the difference between Bridge and Lightroom, or why Lightroom? So let's talk about Bridge. Bridge is a finder, and it's a very good finder. In fact, it's on steroids. It's the equivalent of a Finder on Mac or the Explorer on Windows. It enables us to go through our hard drives or our external drives, to navigate through them, find a folder, open up that folder, and then see thumbnails of the contents within that folder and visually find the image that we're looking for, and then pass it on and open it into Photoshop or Camera Raw or Illustrator, whatever it would be. Does a very good job of that. However, as you know, if you've been going through a lot of folders, it can be very sluggish when you're going through a lot of images. And if you try to open a folder that has, say, several thousand images in there, it's just not going to handle it. It's probably going to crash, or if anything, it's going to take a long time for you to view the contents. Lightroom is a database. It's designed from the ground up for working with photographs and working with a lot of photographs. For example, right now, I have in my catalog almost 50,000 photos that we're looking at right here. And we can see we can scroll up and down very quickly and find our photos and look at them. If I want to view them, I can double click and I can see them at full screen there, or I can click again, I can view them at different magnifications. So we can go in here, we can examine the different photos and notice it builds a one-to-one preview. I can even click in here and I can examine different parts of the photo. I can change the magnification here. So you can go in really large, you can fill, you can fit, you can do the different things. Now, if I hit the G key, it takes me back to the grid view. I can scroll up and down. I can change the size of these thumbnails so they can be very large. And, we can take them right up to single thumbnails. And you can see we're still scrolling through here very quickly and easily, looking at the different photographs. So we've got 50,000 photos all in one place. Well, it does more than that. It keeps all the information about these photos. All the metadata that we apply to these photographs is all stored in this one place called a catalog. And right now we can see we've got that catalog open there, and there's 48,000 as we said. So how do we get these images into this catalog? Well, there's different ways we can do it. We can actually import other catalogs from Lightroom, and all the settings and everything will stay intact. We can export those catalogs as well by clicking the import or export. We can import folders of images. Now, we don't have to bring the images in. We can actually keep them in their location, and we can view them here and manage them from within Lightroom. So managing images is an interesting thing, because if we manage them, we can manage them from different locations. So right now, as you can see, I've got a number of drives here connected. So these photos are living on external drives, internal, doesn't matter. As you can see, we're feeding them from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations right there. And then there's other drives that are disconnected right now. You can see they're grayed out. But we can still view the images, and then if we use a thing called Smart Previews, we can even adjust those images, do all metadata work without those drives being connected. If we need the photos, we simply plug in the drive, and then they'll light up. This shows green because it's telling me there's plenty of space. It shows how much of that space of that drive has been taken up and how much is free. So you can see that it shows green as being full. It shows orange when it starts to get a little bit more empty, and then when the drives become full, these turn red. And once again, you can disconnect or plug in drives as you're working to change that. So we can have all our images there. So let's look under one of them. We've put them under the folders here. And we can see under the folders, we have all these subfolders. And this is the actually looking at what is on our drive right now. And we can see there's all our images. So we simply import our images onto our drive, put them in the folders, and then once they're in those folders, we can now view them inside our catalog here in Lightroom. Now, if you want to change the way these are organized, you can create subfolders under there. So you can simply go into these folders, and you go into the subfolders, and let's click there. You can see we can create other little folders under there and start to move things. Now, if you want to move them between different drives, we can literally click and drag them from drive to drive, and it will actually move those photographs from one drive to the other and keep everything updated inside of Lightroom. So we can start to organize our folders on our different drives and our photos, and we can move them and organize them from within Lightroom, always keeping track of them. But what about organizing these photos? Because as you see, we've got them there, we've got these catalogs, we've got these different things. How do we actually organize them in a way we can use them? Well, what we can do is we go down here, and if we scroll down, we get these things called collections. And now we can create different collections and put them within collection sets. For example, if I click on models, you can see that all the images in here of all the different shoots that are involving all the different types of models are all in here inside one folder right there. And everything underneath there is organized. So what I did is I selected those images and I created a collection set called models. And to create a collection set, you click here and either create a collection or a collection set. And the photos that are selected get moved in here. Now, it doesn't actually move the photos. This is the good news. What actually happens is it just creates a reference to the photos here. So they're still stored in their original location, but now we're creating these collections that we can work on as a way of us to organize the photos and sorting them out for us to work with. So here's all the different shoots here. We can see we can go down here if we wanted to go down and select each different shoot. We can just simply click on it there, or there's Grace's shoot, and there's all the photos are right there in one place. We can go back. Let's go back, since we've been working with Lena's one. This shows all the photos from the different shoots that I've done with Lena. Well, let's open this up, and you can see there's the different ones there. So I can literally go down and I can choose the different shoots by simply clicking on them there. We've got the different studio. There's the studio ones here. We can see, his different outfits, different setups. We've got some portrait ones. And all these can be sorted out here, and we can locate them very quickly by using these collection sets. And we can simply click and drag a photo and move it between the set. And what it'll do is it'll create a reference to that photo without actually moving that photo or creating another instance of it. So we only have one of each photo, but we can make adjustments to it, and it doesn't matter where it is. Now, if we're working on a file-based management, if, for example, let's grab the Lena car shots, and I wanted to work with, say here, and I've got a picture of her and the car. Now, if I wanted to do this in a folder, I would have to create a folder with all the models or Lena or the girls, drag all the photographs into there. So we would create one folder of girls or models, we would create another folder of cars, and then because this has both a girl model and a car in here, I would have to make 2 copies of the photo for it to exist in both those locations. But fortunately, I could create a model and a car folder, drag these in, and it creates an instance of that same photo. It doesn't duplicate the photo or create a new photo, it just makes a reference. So that's the advantage, is we're not bloating our hard drives or our files with multiple copies of the same photo. We just have one that it's pointing back to, which is the one in their original location. Here's the other thing. If I had a folder that said cars and one that had models, I adjusted one, then I went back later, I adjusted the other one. How would I know which is the latest version of it? I wouldn't. I start to have multiple versions of it, and that becomes a problem. Whereas here, I adjust one, it's going to update in the other location, so I know I'm always working on the latest version of that photograph. So that makes life a lot easier. So that's how we can organize our photos. Another thing we can do if we want to bring our photos in that we can do here, we can tether our camera. We can create watch folders. And these watch folders are basically any folder that I create when any images get added there, whether I import them from a flash card on my camera, or another hard drive, I drop them in there, those will automatically be processed in a way that I'm telling it to. Say, for example, copy it to this location and manage it inside of Lightroom. The other thing is we can shoot live. I have the F key to go into full screen. And now what happens is as we shoot these on the camera, these can actually be imported live. This is actually what you would see as you're shooting live. All I simply do is plug my camera into my laptop and I tether, and this is actually how I did this shoot right here that we're looking at. And these photographs were literally being imported as I was shooting them, and I could see them on my laptop instead of looking at that little viewfinder in the back. So how do we find the photos? We can filter them. If we hit the backslash key, we can turn on or off the filter bar. The filter bar at the top enables us to sort through our images using a number of different criteria. We can search in the collections, or we can go up and choose on all photographs to select every photograph in our entire catalog, and we can go through it that way. We can use text fields. We can do things like file names, metadata, captions, all these things that we can add on there ourselves. We can choose attributes. The attributes could be ratings, flags. We could be sorting just by video. We could be sorting by virtual copies or original. And it will just filter these down very quickly. And now let's sort by attribute. So let's choose attribute and let's click on video. Yes, we've got some video here that we shot. And now we're viewing just the videos. If we want to look at, turn that off by clicking again, it turns it off. Just want to look at the virtual copies. Here they are. You can see the little curl there. So what we do, the virtual copy enables us to experiment and make changes to this photograph. So as we make the changes, we're making changes to a copy. But what it's doing is it's not making another photograph. It's just making a new set of metadata. So this enables us to experiment with maybe 5 different versions of a photo without increasing the file size of creating 5 photos. We just have one photo, and in tiny little bits of metadata we can experiment with. What else do we have? We have metadata. We can search by metadata. We can search by date, camera, lenses, all these different things, different types of cameras. And let's click here. You can even see, we can even do the serial number. So if we have multiple cameras that are the same but with different serial numbers, we can do that. That's good for multiple shooters, maybe at weddings and stuff. You can see all these other options we can use for searching. Many ways of searching. We can search by the attributes of the camera, lenses. We can do shutter speeds, all these different things. One of the things I enjoy doing is shooting with a 50mm a lot when it comes to portrait lenses. So now I can scroll through and I can find these portrait shots because I'm searching by the 50mm. So you can search these things different ways like this, or time of day or whatever, and you can use these for creating your collections very quickly. Now we can add or remove these columns. So we can add a column, you can put more than one category. We've got nothing selected there, but maybe we want to sort that by job or location, city, country, all these different things, maybe aperture. So there's different ways of sorting these out by using our metadata. If we hold down the Shift key, we can select different attributes, and at the same time, so we can use multiple criteria here for searching. Or we can just click on none, and it turns the searching off. So that's just touching on some of the differences here between Bridge and Lightroom. But as you can see, Lightroom is really great for taking a vast amount of photographs or individual shoots, for quickly selecting the photographs, sorting them out, finding the images we want. And for example, we can do comparisons here. Like, I don't know, let's just do these photographs here. So I'm looking at this. If I want to do a comparison, I can click on here, and now I can sort through the different ones by simply clicking them on here, and I can compare these side by side. Another thing we can do is if we go to the survey view, I can select multiple images, and I can view these images side by side. So we just simply click on there, and we can take these out by simply clicking on those little X's and saying, okay, it's between these two, I don't want that one. And then you can find a photograph you want to work with. So that's another way. Let me just hit the G key for the grid view, and we're viewing them all. One last way I'm going to show you of viewing and sorting through these images is we can use multiple screens. So if we click here, it's going to open up the second screen. Now, I've only got one screen for the screen capture. Otherwise, I would drag this into a second monitor, and I could do this different ways. I could hit the F key. I could do it full screen on that separate monitor there. or I can use these different options. So let's look at these options. As I'm clicking in one and I'm viewing these photographs, it can be displaying it here in the second monitor. So what we could do here, let me just go to normal view there, and I'm going to click in, zoom up, so we can go right in on the eyes. All right. It's going to take a second because what it's doing is it's building a one-to-one preview. So right now I could be selecting these photos on here and then viewing them on the second monitor here. So I can quickly go through and say, okay, are these keepers or not, based on whether or not the eyes are sharp. The other thing I can do is I can click down here. I can also sort them out down there inside our view here, and I can actually go through the film strip view there just by scrolling with my wheel on my mouse. So you can see that's another quick way of moving around. I'm going to show you another view that I really like, and let me just zoom out a little bit, and that's when we go to the live view. When we're in the live view, wherever I move my mouse over, it's going to appear inside that second monitor. I can also do it through the film strip down here, so I can quickly look at these if I want to zoom in. I can also do that, and I can actually look at different parts of the photo by simply moving around. And you can see that this is a really quick way of moving, and it literally is going to follow wherever my mouse goes. And so that is a really, really nice way of sorting through my photos and looking at them. So I can close down the second monitor, or I can click here and hold, and I can choose it into the different ways. If I want, I can go into survey view, I can go into compare, and you can see that those different views will also work. Or what I'm going to do is just click on here. You can see that if I turn off the show option, it will hide the second monitor. So you can see one of the things that I really love about Lightroom that you just really can't do like this in Bridge is bring a lot of photos in. Generally, when you shoot, you're going to have a larger shoot. You're going to have 100 photos, 1,000 photos, even just 50. But what you can do is you can take those photos in there. You can use the tools like keywords and metadata, star ratings, all these different things, comparing different views, and then get that big collection of photos really quickly down to a smaller collection that you really want to work with. You can put those together. Then you just pop them into another collection here that you want to work with. So you're not looking at thousands of photos you're not interested on. You're finding the ones you want, and you can work with them quickly. So hopefully this helps you understand a little bit more, some of the things that we can do here in Lightroom that we can't do in Bridge, and why, if you're a photographer or someone working for a lot of photographs, why you would want to be using Lightroom and why you would not want to be just relying on Bridge only. So the real thing is, it's a huge time saver.